Hey, Gary.
Hey, Bill. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How you doing, buddy?
I'm surviving. I'm just thankful to have power.
I'm glad things are so much better, bro.
Yeah, man. It's nice to have power. I think I took power for granted. Uh,
Man, don't we all?
it's like, you go from, cell phones and TV, then going to the caveman, like instantly, it's crazy. But, but yeah, I'm back into the 21st century now, so I can
Good, but I bet your grilling skills, your skills on the grill got real good.
Oh yeah, you know it, man. It brought back some memories from the Boy Scout days, from the outdoor adventures. Yeah, good times, man.
Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Very good. So I take it you were a Boy Scout back in the day.
Yeah, man.
And you got all your badges, and you tied the knots and the.
Well, I didn't get a whole lot, but I was in there for long enough to learn the Scout motto and Scout oath and that kind of stuff. So it's good.
Awesome. I did not know that. That's cool. That's very cool. Okay, I guess we'll get started here.
Yeah.
And I'll just run through some questions for you. How about that?
Sounds great.
Well, how have you been doing since the pandemic? How's that messed up your life, so to speak, from the norm? What you been doing since the pandemic?
Well, I try to be a glass half full kind of guy. I mean, everybody's going through so much stuff, and musicians were the first to be knocked out, and we're going to be the last to be brought back into being able to go back to work. A lot of people were knocked out of work for quite a while, so I try not to sound too much like a whiner. But we haven't had a public show in Firehouse since March.
Wow.
And it's tough, man, I tell you. Had I not had this album just about ready to go when all that happened, it would have been a lot worse. But fortunately, the fans have held me up and sustained me.
Right.
Kept my head above water when by releasing this album at the time, and they supported me. So it's been a blessing for sure.
Awesome. And they can get that album on your website?
Yeah, that's the only place right now.
At
Leverty.com.
Leverty.com.
If you get it there, you check a little box. It says autograph my CD, and then a little box drops down where you fill in your name, and I'll sign the CD to you.
Awesome. Wow, that's cool. A lot of people will be jumping at that. That's really cool. So let's back up into history, and let's go back in the past. So how did you first started playing guitar? How old were you when you first started playing guitar?
Well, I'll give you the long answer since we've got time.
Sure.
We just got started. But I got a Christmas present underneath the tree from Santa Claus, and it was a plastic guitar, and I was about 3 years old.
Oh, cool.
And I probably just smacked it, against a tree or something, just having fun.
Yeah.
But so that really doesn't count. But then a few years later, I had a babysitter who had a 4-string guitar, and she brought that guitar over, and she taught me a little 4-chord progression.
Oh, wow.
It was G, E minor, C, D7.
Right.
And I was messing with that, and so that's when I really first kind of learned how to play something. And I told my parents that I really liked the guitar. I wanted to learn how to play, so they signed me up for lessons at the music store.
Awesome.
And they put a Hal Leonard sheet music book in front of me with Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And I hated it. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. So I quit, and I really didn't start picking it up again until I was almost 15.
Wow.
And I was had a second chance at it, at playing, taking lessons. It was a group setting where the teacher taught chords only. It wasn't Row, Row, Row Your Boat and Mary Had a Little Lamb. It was G, C, and D was the first lesson.
Right.
And you turn those chords around to D, C, and G,
right.
and you can play Sweet Home Alabama.
That's right.
So after that first lesson, I was playing something, and it was 6 lessons. By the time I finished the 6th lesson, I had a gig. I was in a band.
See, that's all it takes, kids.
And I was hooked, and I was not going back, man. I was just so into it.
Well, that's how you do it. That's, some other things have to happen though for you to make it, but that's a start. So where's the babysitter does she know that she gave you the
yes,
lessons?
I talked to her. She was from Massachusetts, and she had moved here, so she had the Boston accent.
Oh, okay.
So I learned that a little bit.
Like park the car and all that stuff.
Yeah, in the garage. And she still lives here, and we're still friends.
Awesome.
Great woman.
You ever slip her some money, just for the, I
think my dad slipped her some money for the hourly rate for having to put up with me.
There you go. That's what it's all about, putting up with the kid. So who influenced you musically when you were growing up?
Well, back then let's even go before that, because before I started playing seriously, I had some records back then that influenced me. The first album that I remember having was a Jose Feliciano record that my parents gave me.
Awesome.
They had listened to it a lot, and they said, "Hey, listen to this," and I just loved the sound of that guitar. Yeah. Then I bought Creedence Clearwater Revival album, and I had a Simon Garfunkel Greatest Hits album.
Right.
And then, I listened to a lot of the radio. And I had some older cousins and an older sister, and I listened to their vinyl a lot. So my godfather gave me an album by Stevie Wonder called Inner Visions, which influenced me quite a bit.
Yeah,
and but when I got a little older, it was Leonard Skinner, Ted Nugent, and then Van Halen came out, and then that was all she wrote.
That was it. Yeah, pun intended, and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's a song in there somewhere.
Somebody was famous there. I can't remember who they were. I think they might have made it big. And speaking of songs, when did you start writing songs? Do you remember when you first started writing songs and the music and the lyrics and things like that? Yeah,
the first song that I wrote, I was in high school. I was in 11th grade, and it was a song for in a band that I was in. We did mostly cover tunes. We thought, well, let's try to write a couple songs, and I remember writing that first song.
And what was it?
It was called "Using Me."
Using Me.
Yeah, and I had several other little bits of songs, but that was my first real song that I can't really call it a real song anymore, but that was the first one that I finished, I guess.
Cool. Yeah. So is it recorded somewhere on a lost demo somewhere, or do you have any?
It might be somewhere, but I don't think I have. I might have it somewhere on a cassette somewhere in the attic or something, but I don't know. I mean, it's not worth pursuing, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Or do you ever do that? Do you go through like some old songs and go, I might give that one a try, that are laying around? Or do you like to be fresh?
I really haven't. I've been trying to just forge ahead, as much as possible.
Yeah.
Most of the ideas that I had that I wrote back then that weren't good enough to pursue back then probably aren't good enough to pursue now.
Oh, yeah.
So I try to spend time, I call it bench time. I sit on that bench and I work to try to come up with new ideas and new lyrical subject matter to sing about. And that's kind of the way I try to do it now.
Or do you ever look back and go, I've changed my writing style since then? Of course, right? You've improved over the years if you look back at your earlier writings, I guess, right? Or would you say?
Well, I think that I sing about different things now, because back when I was in my teens and 20s and even early 30s, I was singing a lot about girls.
Yeah, right.
And now, now that I'm over 30, I've things change in your mind, and you're not singing as much about partying and those kinds of things. I try to think about things that mean something to me today.
Yeah.
So that's probably the main difference.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Which, people like, Mick Jagger still singing about dating, going out with a girl, and he's like almost 80, But that, I guess, if you got something, you stick with that. You stick with that idea, I guess. Which I understand. That's cool. The topics are important to people, more than they were back in the day. So I understand that. Well, you were talking about your first bands. So what was the band that you were in right before Firehouse? What was the band that people didn't quite discover yet? That turned into
that band was called White Heat.
White Heat.
And White Heat, we had Michael Foster playing drums in that band, and we did, I'd say it was about 80% cover tunes, 20% originals.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get a record deal, and there was this other band on the club circuit called Max Warrior, and they did about the same percentage of stuff, 80% cover tunes, 20% originals.
Right.
And Michael and I liked them, especially CJ and Perry, and those guys liked us. And both bands broke up at about the same time, and we started a new band. And we kept the name White Heat. And eventually we got a record deal, and we found out the name White Heat was taken already, so we had to change the name. So we came up with, Michael actually came up with the name Firehouse.
Cool. So, but Firehouse, that wasn't from the Kiss song Firehouse, right? That was just a name he came up with.
No, it was actually Michael Foster was going to be a firefighter. He was all set to go to the fire academy and all that. Wow. So it actually came from the fire department.
Oh, wow.
Kiss. Although we knew about that Kiss song, of course, we, thought, I wonder if people think we just got it from the Kiss.
That's what
song.
I thought. Yeah, I thought
but yeah, no, we didn't. It was Mikey.
Cool. Or did y'all ever play Firehouse as a song in concert or anything?
We never have.
That would be kind of cool.
Nope.
Just thinking.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah. So what was your first impression of the guys when you met them, all the other band members, when you came to be? Did you say, hey, these guys are really my kind of style? How did y'all click and all that?
Well, like I said, Michael was already in the band. When I first met Michael, we needed a drummer, and we auditioned probably 20 drummers here in the area. Mm-hmm. And he came in, and he had a drum kit that was in good shape. I mean, it was a good, well-polished, clean kit, but it was this ugly green color. So when he brought the ugly green drums in, I thought, oh, boy.
Here we go.
But I was going, you can't judge a book by the color of the drum kit.
Doggone it.
And then he played, and we were like, oh, man, this guy is great. He's got such a groove, too. He had swing.
Yeah.
And most of the drummers were dum dum tat dum 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 tat, and Michael could do the go tack
right.
That's
right.
And he just had the groove, And then we heard him sing, and we were like, "You got the gig."
Wow.
We didn't tell him he had the gig. We said, "Hey, why don't you come back tomorrow? And here's our song list of 30 songs or 40 songs or whatever it was, and
right.
let's just practice wherever you know." And he came back the next day, and he knew them all.
Wow.
That's when we said, you got to get it. But, the icing on the cake with Michael was his voice, because the guy just was a great singer. So, like I said previously, with CJ and Perry, we saw them play in Max Warrior and knew they were great and knew that, just incredible. I mean, Perry was just an awesome bass player and a great singer, and CJ could sing all the stuff that everybody, all the lead singers in the country or in the world wanted to sing.
Yeah.
He could sing the Scorpions, and he could sing Ronnie James Dio, and he could sing the Paul Stanley stuff, and Bon Scott, and all the really challenging stuff. He just sang it so well, so we knew they had it. And then, I actually met CJ and in between sets when they were playing, and gave him a demo tape, and we became friends. And then the next time they came around town, I snuck backstage and said hey to him and Perry, and And then they came through town again. I talked more with Perry, and I knew they were really cool guys, laid back and focused,
Right.
wanting to write songs and make it.
Right.
And so it really did work when both bands broke up. It was a phone call, and we started working together.
Awesome. Well, CJ Snare, he sounds like he should have played drums, but I'm glad he sang. You know, right?
That's right. We always joke when we say if your first name was Kick, you would have really been a drummer.
That's right. See, and you could add the green drums and still made it. So you didn't make him paint the drums, though, right? It's like,
no. I mean, he had those drums for probably a year or so, and then he bought this great looking set of red Ludwigs.
Oh yeah.
And they sounded great, and they looked great, and it was killer.
Awesome. Well, how did y'all get the record deal? I mean, how did that happen exactly?
We played, we made several demo tapes, and one demo tape led to a better demo tape, led to a better demo tape, and finally we got the attention of the A&R guy at Epic Records. He flew down to Charlotte, North Carolina on a night where there was this terrible ice storm, and most of the traffic there was no traffic, actually, because you couldn't really drive your car without driving sideways down the street, and the electricity, for some reason, didn't go out in this club where we were. And he landed, our A&R guy landed. His name's Michael Kaplan. His taxi somehow made it to this club where we had like 5 people. And he walked in and he said, hey, just wanted to check you guys out. And we played, and he walked backstage. He goes, I think you guys are ready for a record deal. And we couldn't believe it. And he said, I'm going to make the land speed record in getting you guys signed so you can get in the studio and start recording. And he did. I mean, it was within a week. We were up in New Jersey making demos with our new producer, and we signed shortly thereafter.
Awesome. And that's 30 years ago, right? It's been 30 years?
Well, that was actually 31 years
31 years ago.
That we did that show where Michael Kaplan came and saw us. It took a while to do all the demos and then to do the recording, and then for the record company to wait for the right time to release the record. But they released that record September of 1990.
So that's the record is 30 years.
30 years ago now, since the first record came out.
Awesome. So it's almost exactly. So the official date release in September 1990 was it, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So 30 years. You don't feel older, do you? It's 30 years, it's just a few years ago, right?
My mind feels about the same.
Yeah.
But my lower back feels like I've lifted a lot of these 4x12 cabinets
and you
in
have.
And out of venues. So.
And you have. I know the feeling. I've done it myself. It's not fun picking up some stuff and when your back says, I disagree. So the first album, it was double platinum. I think 2 million copies sold, and
in the U.S.
In the U.S., yeah. How did that take you? I mean, what was your reaction to that when you realized this is actually happening? How did you react to that?
Well, we didn't get the double platinum record first. Mm-hmm. The first thing we got was our gold record. Mm-hmm. And that was, I think we were all doing backflips and freaking out, going, wow, I can't believe that we finally got to a point where we've got an audience nationally.
Right.
And that our record company presented us with a gold record. At the same time, we were working so hard every night playing gigs, every morning getting up real early to go to the radio station to play acoustically, and working all day, and then working all night, and traveling all night on the bus, waking up, repeat the cycle, that we didn't really have too much time to celebrate. Because there was always some place to go the next day where we had to do a gig and sound good. So it was gradual kind of a thing, and I think we were pretty controlled in our freaking out celebration, but when we got our first gold record, I'd say we were we had a great dinner that night.
Awesome.
Probably popped some champagne,
Awesome.
and then we had a gig the next day. And then we found out the record went platinum, and then a little while later, we found out it went double platinum, and we were still on the road, still working, and we're just really thankful, grateful. So I'd say that was the main way we felt, was grateful.
Yeah, I imagine so. That I remember that I've still got the cassette tape of that album. It's survived all those years. It's it's worn out, but I still got it. And then when you went on tour, how was that for the first tour after that success? How did that go, and who did you tour with back in the day?
Well, before we had before the record kind of took off,
mm-hmm.
the record company gave a song to a radio station called Z-Rock. Z-Rock was a station in Dallas that was syndicated to 20 stations around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a song called Shake and Tumble, and Shake and Tumble did well at that station. People called and said, we want to hear that one again. And because that song was successful at Z-Rock, that meant we had 20 gigs. So we rented the cheapest bus we could find. It had holes in it, and it had manual transmission.
Wow.
And I remember a lot of terrible things about the bus, but for us, we had a tour bus.
That's all that matters.
We hopped on that bus, and right away we had 20 gigs. So we felt like we were killing it, and we went out every night. We tried to sound the best we could. It was really important for all four of us. All four of us really had a dedication to our fans to make sure that they paid their hard money for a ticket. We put our hardest effort into making that show the best that it could be.
Right.
And, after that tour, that was mostly clubs and stuff. Then we graduated to some theaters and stuff. And then that summer we got the opportunity to go out with Warrant on the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour.
Awesome.
With Warrant and Trickster and Firehouse.
Awesome.
And that tour sold out everywhere it went. Warrant had Heaven and Cherry Pie, and those were like number one songs, and it was a huge tour. So to be able to go, I guess the amount of time was probably about a year, almost a year, where we went from playing clubs to playing arenas and sheds in Chicago. I think there was over 40,000 people. Wow. It was mind blowing.
That's crazy. That's just that shows you the popularity of Firehouse and bands like that. It was such a big time for band, the bands like that in that time. I remember it well. I remember everybody had their tour shirts coming in high school, Firehouse and Warrant and everything like that. So yeah, it was really awesome times. The good old days, if you will, right? So then y'all, you won an American Music Award right as the grunge scene was coming on, right? So tell me about that, winning the American Music Award.
Yeah, so we were up for the best hard rock heavy metal band, and we won. We didn't think we were going to win, but we did, and it was. We always joke and say that our chairs were spring-loaded when they called our name. We didn't think we were going to win, and I think I made it to that stage in probably 0.1 second from all the way in the back row where we were. Well, no, we were kind of in the middle, but it was a wonderful, wonderful night. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and
still can't.
You beat out Nirvana and was it Alice in Chains? I think it was. They're nominated. That's right. Yeah, that's. And then and then for them to take off, and then the rock genre, and metal kind of faded, But but y'all kind of stuck around a little bit longer than most of the guys, right? Uh, why do you think that though? Why do you think some of these bands kind of faded, and y'all were still kind of in the middle there, not giving up? So how come y'all didn't throw in the towel, so to speak?
Well, we couldn't afford to quit. That's for damn sure.
That's true.
Yeah. I think we got lucky. I think our fans stuck with us, and we just. I mean, a lot of it was luck, bro. To be honest with you, I mean,
right.
It was a tough time for every band in our genre, and we managed to sustain.
And y'all never did the alternative sound. A lot of them, I know, like Warrant kind of went to the alternative kind of different sound of, rock sound and all the other bands. So how come y'all decided to stay true to your sound during that time?
Well, we always wanted to write songs that we liked and that we wanted to do. And I think a lot of bands did the same. I think that you write what you want to do. If it's alternative music, that's fine. If it's a darker kind of sound, that's fine. And we did do some darker stuff in the albums that we made. But for the most part, I think we just stuck with singing positive lyrics and making melodic hard rock music. Because I don't know, that's what was coming out. So we didn't really try to change, and we didn't really try to stay the same. We just tried to write good songs.
Right.
That was about it.
Right. So whenever you're going, you were going overseas and everything like that. You were big overseas, right? They loved you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, how you define big, but we were able to go over there and play gigs. For sure.
Right. And you were still making albums, and then you kept the same lineup, and then I think Perry Richardson left. So what was the reason why Perry left the band?
Well, I think Perry was just looking for, Perry is like really hard, heavy stuff, and he also liked country a lot. So I think artistically he felt like it was time for him to make a change. And he moved to Nashville and got a gig immediately with an epic artist named Craig Morgan. Was with Craig for years, and then he was in Trace Adkins' band for a while, and then he went back with Craig. And then most recently he got a gig with Stryper. So he's in Stryper now, so
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
We're real happy for him.
Awesome. So you still talk to him or anything? Or?
Oh yeah,
cool.
Oh yeah, I texted with him back and forth like yesterday, actually.
Awesome. Are you getting buzzed? Is that you or is that me?
Oh no, it's on my phone. It's just it's all day long. So
okay.
No
Somebody's trying to. Hey, this is my. I got him now for the next few. No. Nah. But the songs though that you're writing, in songs like "Love of a Lifetime" and things like that, the slower ballads. I know a lot of the fans are big on the ballads. Does that ever hurt you? Like as a guitar player, do you think I like the heavier songs? I want to do more heavy songs, But everybody wants.
I think "Love of a Lifetime" is a heavy song.
Oh,
it is a heavy song. The lyrics are about love.
Yeah,
and but it's something that I find that I want to do. I want to play as a musician. I want to play different tempos.
Yeah.
So if you're going to play different tempos, you got to play some slow stuff.
That's right.
And it's a challenge to play slow.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge to play the diversity that I love. So I really want those challenges every night when I get up there to play. It keeps you from just kind of going through the motions. I mean, I love playing that song. Yeah. I love playing When I Look Into Your Eyes.
Right.
We're also playing I Live My Life for You in our set.
Right.
And we got a couple other ballads, and it's just something that we've always enjoyed in our, even when we're doing cover tunes, it was always fun to play a ballad. Yeah. And then it was fun to play something really hard and fast.
Yeah.
So it's just, I love it all, really.
What? Oh, y'all do a great job, and I know the on the ballads, especially like the solos. That's a really good time to shine. I always, growing up and listening to the ballads and things like that, and waiting for the big solo, to happen. That was always cool, and some of your best work, I think, is in those songs. And how do you go about writing like a solo? How do you like remember? Do you record do you practice with it and record it and play it back and try to remember it, or it just comes to you, or how does that work out?
Well, it varies, but usually we will figure out what the chords are going to be underneath the solo. If I have an idea, if anybody has an idea where they go, hey, I hear this to go da 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 da,
Right.
then we'll do that. In that case, I think it was the chords backing the solo were first, and that melody, I think I came up with that melody for that solo. But it's usually humming a melody, to me, is the most important thing. Something that the person who listens to it can hum it later on, or whistle the melody later on. I always try to put a little bit of energy in it, and usually that's with some speed somewhere, but it doesn't have to be. But I kind of gravitate towards a little bit of fast picking or something towards the end of the solo to give it kind of a climax.
Yeah.
But it's really is just if I don't have a melody that comes to my head right away that I sing or hum, then I'll sit down with those chords, those backing tracks, and play along until something comes out. Sometimes it takes a long time, but it's usually homework. It's something that I do with my little 4-track that I had back in the day, or now it's my little computer, and I sit down with it and I just work until I come up with something that makes me feel like it's good enough to show the other guys.
Right. Awesome. Well, what's your favorite song to play, like when you're playing live? What song do you say, I really love playing that song live?
I love all of them, to be honest with you. There isn't one I don't love playing. They're all fun to play, and they're all challenging for me. But I guess one of the ones that makes me feel like it has a lot of the elements that make our band shine is a song called All She Wrote. I think is good because it's got a lot of harmonies in it, and it's got a cool rhythm, and people like it. People already know it; they're familiar with it, so that helps where the energy in the room is up. I'd say another one, a couple others that we did. Reach for the Sky is another one that's got some good energy and some good. Yeah, it starts off, with a cool sound, and there's another one called Hold the Dream that I really think is it's a slow tempo song that I enjoy playing. It's really challenging, and what's another? Oh, a song called Home Is Where the Heart Is. I think that's another one that is a lot of fun to play live and challenging, and so those are mostly those are 4 of them.
Cool. Well, when you're doing an album, do you ever look back on like the previous album and go, we want to do something in the same vein as that album, or do you try to do something different, or try to have different songs that don't sound quite as?
Yeah,
or you just write?
I don't want to do anything the same, and I don't want to do anything different. I just want to do something. I just want something to come out sounding good. I don't think too much about that. And it's probably to my detriment, because sometimes I'll finish something and go, oh, I didn't remember that I did that little lick on that record. But it's just the way it is. Sometimes you repeat yourself unintentionally, but I really don't want to do the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And so it's really, I think can't be too conscious of it. Otherwise, nothing comes out if you overthink it too much, I think.
Right. So you just don't think about it. You just do it, and then you go back and listen and go, I like
pick the best stuff, the stuff that everybody feels is the best. We usually vote on it. we take a vote on which songs we all think are going to be the ones that get on there. Usually it's 7 or 8 are unanimous, and then the last 3 are, it's a 3-1 vote or something like that. Or if it's a tie, we flip a coin, and cool. That's just the way it is.
Wow, very interesting. Well, like a song, I don't know, like "Reach for the Sky" or something like that. How does that come to be? I mean, let's just say whoever writes the lyrics, do the other guys come in and do their part, or do you do it separately, or do you throw out ideas as you're doing it? How is the songwriting on just any given song?
Well, it's all different. We wrote together some of them. We wrote individually some of them, and a lot of them were CJ and I collaborating on stuff. On "Reach for the Sky," I think, trying to think of what came first, the chicken or the egg on that one. I think CJ had, "Reach for the Sky," mm-hmm. And we all went, "Oh, that's cool." And I had a guitar riff that went with it. Oh, right. And so a lot of our collaborative work between CJ and I was that, where he kept a book of hooks, and I kept making tapes of riffs and chord progressions, and I'd give him a new cassette with 30 or 40 little bits on there, and he would pick the ones that really tripped his trigger, and he'd say, "Yeah, I got something for that," and we'd start working on that. So that might have been the way "At Reach for the Sky" happened, but I don't know. He wrote the lyrics on that one, and I think they turned out great.
Well, yeah, great album, or all the albums are awesome. But I remember those, playing them over and over again and watching them on MTV, back when MTV played videos, back in the day.
I think they played "Reach for the Sky" one time.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first single off our second record. Our bands of our genre had gone out of favor, and MTV really didn't want to play our record, but I guess the record company said, "You gotta play this song. We just dumped $100,000 into this video." Right. And so I remember Michael Foster called up there and kind of introduced the song to MTV and to the fans on, maybe it was Headbangers Ball, or whatever that show was at 5 p.m. that came on, or whatever. Yeah,
I remember that.
And they played it one time, and that was it. And we went, wow, we just paid $100,000 for one play.
Oh, gee.
But, that's just the way it was for bands of our genre back then. We didn't know, but
it's not your fault.
And I love that video. That was NFL Films directed that video.
Awesome.
Too. So
wow.
It was great working with Phil Tuckett and everybody at NFL Films.
Awesome. Well, that, like you said, that was that genre going out. But I always wondered, what would have happened if the bands weren't kind of, if the alternative music and didn't come in, what would have happened? Do you think it would have been, which I'm sure a lot of the bands like Firehouse would have really been even more explosive, I guess you could say. But I always wondered who decides that this latest sound is happening and the others is not, because there's a lot of fans that maybe everybody should have said, "Hey, I don't accept this. I want these bands to keep playing."
Well, I think back then MTV had so much power that MTV started playing the bands that they liked that they felt was hip and cool.
Yeah,
and everybody around the whole country and around the world, it was one size fits all kind of music for everybody at that point. And that, that I disagreed with that. I thought there was room for everybody, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And they wanted to change that. And, hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
I also contemplate or just think about what would happen if a band like the Eagles came out today with their greatest hits as their first record.
Right.
Would they get played? Are they rock enough? No. Are they country enough? No. Are they pop enough? No. Would they make it today?
Yeah.
I would sure hope so. because they were one of the greatest bands of all time. But it's so tough because it's so pigeonholed and compartmentalized now.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I sit around and ponder that kind of stuff all the time too.
I do too, and
I try not to think about it too hard.
Well, you can't. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the main thing is you can't go back and change anything. But yeah, I've thought about would this band make it? And it would be sad if somehow you could secretly watch, and then the Eagles just came and went, and they're like, these guys, who are they? And then it'd be crazy to think that, because a good sound when you hear it, regardless of what MTV or whoever says, so it's kind of sad that bands like that and Firehouse. I mean, I loved your music and the bands like y'all, and growing up, and I just hated for that genre to fade, which I'm glad there's still, people like you are still playing music and still putting it out there, and keeping it going. Maybe it'll make a comeback, like in a big way, maybe after the pandemic, which I do think it's going to bring like a resurgence of some of this classic music, I believe. What do you think?
Let's hope so.
And speaking of which, you got solo albums. You got a new solo album that you were talking about, right? That you just worked on, you said, and
I do, yeah.
And
thanks for mentioning it, yeah.
Yeah, and what's the name of that?
Again? It's called Divided We Fall.
Divided We Fall. And it's fitting with today, it sounds like. And not on purpose, right? How
that wasn't on purpose, yeah. But that the last song that I wrote for the record, I was trying to think of a title for it, and Divided We Fall became the title. United we all stand tall, but divided we fall.
Awesome.
And the album was written over 6 years, and I released each song as a single up to a point where, I don't know, the first song that I wrote was released 6 years ago. I did a video for it. And then, Firehouse does 55 to 60 shows a year, so there isn't a whole lot of time for me to be doing solo music, especially with other projects I'm involved with and the family and things like that.
Right.
But I release a song, and then when I get another idea for a song, I put it out and release it as a single. And I didn't, I just felt like I'm going to put out a song when I finish it, and then when I got 10, I'll press up some CDs and put it out as an album. And that's kind of how that worked. Divided We Fall was the last one. And it's really a song more about humanity and how we should all come together, and we're better together, and that kind of thing. And that if we don't work together, then we will fall.
That's true.
So that's just kind of what it's about.
Well, that's an awesome idea. I mean, that's great content, like you said, for today's environment. And so your solo albums, how many have you done? You've done a few, right?
This is my fifth one.
Fifth one. And I was looking over some of your info, and you got some Southern style music, right? Wasn't that one of your?
Oh, I've always been influenced by Southern artists and blues artists, and even a little country and bluegrass and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it creeps into my playing. Can't help it, and I love that stuff.
Right. And also I was looking back. I was one of your albums with Firehouse, Category 5. I was thinking, man, I'm glad we didn't have a Category 5 recently when I was trying to set up this interview, and I was thinking, man, I think it was only like a Category 1, but yeah, I'm thankful.
That's still a hell of a storm. I mean, I'm glad you're okay, and every time the hurricane season comes around, I'm sweating it for everybody through November. It's a terrible feeling. So I've been through them.
But
I've been through
you're
heavy hurricanes.
You're over there in North Carolina? Is that where you were?
Well, I'm in Virginia now,
Virginia.
but we were living in Charlotte when Hurricane Hugo came through. That was a Category 5.
Yes.
And it was devastating. I mean, it was devastating.
It's crazy bad. Yeah, that people don't understand.
We were without electricity. We were without electricity for 2 weeks.
Yeah. We were like that for Ivan, which was on the same day as this one. This Sally, it was 16 years ago on the same day. We were without for 11 days, and it was crazy.
Man, that's a long time.
But yeah, that's why I was so thankful. But the Category 5 that was an album. So how come you decided on that name for that reason? Because y'all have experienced those hurricanes. How did that work out? That title.
I don't know. It was our 5th album. We were trying to come up with a name for it. I think Perry came up with that. He said, "How about Category 5?" We went, "Love it. That's it." That's probably how it happened. Yeah. Like I said, we didn't really think too deeply into a lot of that stuff. It just happened.
Right. Some of the best things happen when you're just throwing things out there, right? And so you in the future, you got future plans for any Firehouse music or anything like that?
We'd love to. We're all hoping and all wanting to make to record again. So hopefully soon.
And what are your hopes for this after the pandemic? And is that one of your goals to record with Firehouse? And what other things do you hope for the future?
Like I said, we would love to. Sure, it's definitely a goal, and it's something we all want to do. And right now, we're looking forward to our next gig, October 1st at the Beacon Theater here in Virginia, and putting this pandemic behind us. That's what we all want, so we can get back to normal.
That's right. And I don't want the new normal. I want I want my old normal back. I don't want to. I don't know. I'm not one of those.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah, I'm just tired of the whole everything. I mean, I'm just tired of pandemics and political mumbo jumbo. I just want, y'all go out and rock and everybody enjoy it. How about that? And talking about getting along with each other. That sounds like a good plan to me.
That's what we need.
I mean, it's been awesome talking to you. I don't want to keep you or anything, but I appreciate you. I've been a big fan of yours and Firehouse for years, since I think I was 16 when the first album came out, and it's been a while.
Well, now we know how old you are.
So do the math, everybody. I'm 30. just slightly over 30. That's right, just barely over 30. Well, I appreciate you taking your time to chat, and I'm looking forward to hearing some new music. I'm going to check out that album, and everybody go to Leverty.com, right, and get an autographed copy, right? How cool
man.
That?
I love signing them.
And I want everybody to go and check that out, and I'll be listening too. I appreciate it, Bill, for your time.
Thanks for your time, Gary. Thanks to everybody's time. Thanks to everybody for taking the time listening to this.
Yes, sir. And I'm praying for the best in the future, and maybe I'll talk to you again one day soon.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
All right, thanks, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.